growing up as a kid, I was always told from friends and my dad and everyone that I couldn't start a fire for shit. So nothing's changed. I still can't start a fire, even though we got one going now.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fireside Show. I'm your host, Mason Rader. Most of you know me for being behind the camera rather than in front, but I decided to change it up. Why not? Our first guest, first time ever, Josh Trank, multi-time champion from the Sprint Series to the GNCC Series. Josh, welcome.
Yeah, what's happening? It's good to be here. It's been a while since I've had a first place at something, so to be the first guest on your show is good. So pumped to see you do this and the ideas that you have to start doing this, and hopefully we can get some boys around the fire eventually, more of us, and talk some shit and have a good time. I think everyone will get to know us as racers a little better, so it'll be cool.
Well, that's the idea with the show, is more or less just to kind of show people your true personalities, because race day, on the podium, like there's just so much emotion anyways. You know, you're thinking about everything that happened in the race, or you're preparing for the race. Like, you're only going to show a quarter of yourself to most people that come up. And a breeze by, hey, pat on the back, good luck for the race, this, that. You can't really sit down and talk with people. You know, your fans really at the best way at the races. So the idea behind this show is really just to show your true colors in a good way.
Oh, hang on.
You're already getting smoked out.
Yeah, no, we're good.
But like a raw, unfiltered side of it. That's the point of it. It's supposed to be a conversation, even in the sense that we call this a show and it's an interview. It shouldn't feel like one. But that's the point of it. But, you know, we're in a time right now where everybody's kind of in full quarantine with the coronavirus and things. Not much I know to tap on that subject, but obviously I imagine it's not changed your routine as much for the most part. You know, it's probably, you know, training like normal, I would imagine.
Yeah, for the most part, it's fairly normal. I mean, it sucks for everyone. It sucks we've had to, the promoters have had to cancel races and all that sort of stuff, but it is what it is, and I think they need to try and get on top of it, which they're trying to do, and we're 6 feet apart, so I think we're good here. So yeah, it sucks, can't go racing, but as far as training and riding goes, I try and backed off the riding a little bit the last couple of weeks, but still training. I enjoy doing that regardless of if I'm getting ready for races or not. So still doing that, and spending more time with Cameron, she's off work, and then with Maverick too, so it's been good. I mean, I would rather be racing than having a break, but at the same time, I'm not complaining all that much.
Well, especially too, like, you had so much momentum going. You had 3 podiums in the first 3 rounds. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like at that point, you're thinking full steam ahead. We're making progress. We're getting consistent. And then it's like to throw this wrench into it. You think, like, geez, come on. Like, I was really rolling good. But, you know, I guess with the years of experience you have at this point, and knowing who you are, I would imagine you're kind of like, well, that's just the cards I'm dealt. Let's brush it off the shoulder and just, here's what I can control.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the first couple of rounds have been good, or really good, really. So, man, I can't think. The last year I was three podiums in a row, maybe. Might have been 2016. So that's a good ways away. So. No, it's good to be able to do that, and then, like you said, I've been doing it for so long. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't. Doesn't matter if you. There's some things that will do good to complain about and kick a stink up occasionally about, but something like this, there's no point. I mean, where the off-road, the racing community and the off-road community itself is so small compared to what's going on. It doesn't matter what I have to say or what anyone else has to say. You just do what you're told, and stay smart and stay low, and it'll be fine soon. We'll go back racing, and everyone can go hang out at the track again soon. It'll be fine.
So you kind of tapped on it earlier, but like, you've been in the States racing pro for over a decade now. I look back in 2007, Unadilla was your first GNCC.
2006, Yadkinville.
Okay, so you had 2006 one in Yadkinville.
And Unadilla. So I had 2 in 2006 just as I just flew, like people do now. I just flew over, did 2, went home. So then 2007 was my first full year.
And that was that your first podium? third?
Unadilla, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in 2007, Unadilla, you got a third for a podium. At that time, how old were you at that time?
I would have been 19, I think.
So as a 19-year-old, XC1 podium, third place. Like, I mean, I imagine at the time you were super stoked on it, especially being you're pretty fresh to the scene in the U.S.
Yeah, and I guess that was about when pretty fresh and obviously still young. I mean, there's kids in the XC2 class that are, I don't know, too old. But anyway, they're in it. So back in, so I was a third place, and I think back then that was about when would start talk contracts with the team or Suzuki at the time. So I think the podium really did good for me. I think Jimmy Jarrett actually got a second. I think he got second that day. So for both him and I guess there was 4 of us on the team, and him and I were probably the lower 2 tiers, and so for us to get a podium there, it was good. I mean, it helped get another deal for the next year, and for me it was. I remember Florida the first year. I had to go back to Australia for my visa, and I got back a couple of days before the first round, and I think I have a feeling I got like 15th or 16th overall or something like that. So I got beat by the XC2 guys and was back a ways in XC1, and I don't know, I feel like that race was harder than Yadkinville the year before and Unadilla, and I almost didn't know what I'd jumped into or what I'd got myself into. So to improve and then finally get a podium there towards the end of the year was good.
So at that point too, everything's like a stepping stone. Like, it's not just an easy thing to say, hey, I'm just gonna fly to another country and try this thing at racing. It's much easier said than done. Like the process of it, you getting here, and then like, I guess more, you really were probably able to learn a lot, I guess, from like Glenn, who is a fellow Australian. Was he able to like give a lot of guidance and advice?
Yeah, so when I moved, I think I shared it a couple last year sometime. I was going through emails for some reason. I found some from GK, and one of them said if I didn't take the deal, I was stupid, and that was in reference to the 2007 contract. And it was something along the lines of I was stupid, or might have had some more choice words in it than that. But honestly, I had dreams growing up of being world motocross. So I wanted to go to Europe, do motocross Grand Prix, but I turned like 15, 16, and I realised it wasn't cutting it. I wasn't going to cut it. So I'd always done a little bit of enduro growing up as a kid in Australia, and I had a job as a full-time mechanic at my parents' motorcycle shop. So I had a job, real-time working, and then I was also racing the Australian Off-Road Series in 2006. And at that stage, Glenn Kearney was over here racing the GNCCs, and I think, GK and Watsy actually. So and at that stage, you would see it in the magazines, not so much on the internet and that. And I just realised that that's what I wanted to do. So I'll have a go at it, whether I made it or not. And honestly, I got lucky and got a deal with Suzuki at the time, and I mean the rest is history really. So I don't know. I wouldn't change. There's a few things I would change, but I wouldn't change anything. Back then it was good. I really think GK and at the time his mechanic Shane Nally had they pushed a lot in getting me on the team. So I think they were the guys that overall made the deal for me.
What would you change?
I'd negotiate more money.
More money?
Yeah. I'm not crying poor me. I feel I was never brought up to tell someone what I thought I deserved. I just took what I got and what I was offered, and I was grateful for it. Still am grateful for it, but looking back, I would change. There's a couple of years where sure I would ask for more money because I feel like I deserved it, and just based on what some of the other guys were getting paid at the time, it would be only fair. So the last 6 years I've been paid about the same, and I feel that's what I'm worth. So I'm not going to go to another company and be like, I deserve this much, or or whatever, and it's been the same for the last few years, and I'm happy with that. I don't feel like it's too much, and I don't feel like it's too little. I feel like I'm getting paid what I deserve, and if someone wants more money, then they should be. There's not many people that, I'm not being cocky, there's not many guys that have beaten me, not just this year, but in the past. So last year I was 5th, I think. So there's one guy making a good amount, and he deserves every penny he gets. And then I feel like everyone else should be somewhere in the same kind of ballpark, you know. And anyone else that thinks they deserve what he gets, they're joking. So, and I'm the same way. If I've won more races and more titles, then I feel like I would be worth more money. But I'm worth what I'm worth, and I get paid what I get paid, and I'm happy with it, man. We go race motorcycles for a living and pay our bills. We're not going to get rich, so
Yeah.
just be happy and be grateful for what we're given, I reckon.
To me, there's probably after first place guy, there's 5, 6 guys within the realm of where you're at.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. So, yeah, no, I agree with that, and that's about all. I think that's about all I have to say about that.
Maybe less.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. I think that's good, and there's probably more people that should be getting paid. I feel should be getting paid a little more, or there should be just people getting supported a little more. But then we also talk about the people that think they deserve the support, and really they probably don't either. So I don't know. It's a hard one.
You just mentioned like you've always been the guy to just take what you're given and not ask for any more. Like even though you probably should have and could have asked for more money, do you ever think that mindset growing up helps you learn to appreciate what you have now and the opportunities you have now? Like I feel like a lot there's people that really believe they deserve more than what they even have when really they should learn to earn it. Like do you think having that mindset growing up's taught you and given you the confidence to do what you do now?
Yeah, I mean you get taught that at a young age, not 18, 19. I think that's already beat into you at that stage. So I think growing up, like I said, my parents had a motorcycle shop, and I was spoiled. I had 3 sisters, and I was the only one that raced. So I think I got a new bike every year. Not new bikes, but we had a new bike every year, and Dad would take me racing, but I would when we got home I would help wash and help clean up, and I would do the chores. I'd mow the lawn and that sort of stuff, and I feel like I wasn't overly spoilt, and I didn't get everything given to me, and I wasn't told I was the greatest thing that walked the planet, you know. So I feel like I worked hard. I remember it was before I started work. I think I was still at school, and I went mountain biking one morning before school in the winter time, and my water bottle froze up. It was that cold, and it was just stuff like that I feel like I just did because that's what I felt like I had to do if I wanted to get better at racing, and that. So
is there ever a time now where like you can look back at that and think like, XC2, whatever class, upcoming pros don't really put in that kind of effort, or maybe have had a lot of smoke blowing up?
100%.
Yeah. Like where now they think they've just been told all their lives, like not that reassurance isn't a bad thing,
yeah,
but they've just been told they're the greatest thing all these years. So when failure slaps them in the face, because inevitably it does, they just fall flat. Like that's where you're saying maybe how you're raised developed the grit you have today, and now maybe you can't find that as much in the youth ranks and up.
Yeah. I see it a lot. So I do see it a lot, and it is whatever. It's a hard one. I need more people. We need more people
to really get into it. So I guess to kind of switch gears, more of the early stages of your career here in the U.S. You talked about Glenn. You talked about how Glenn's was an influence into the idea that you should take this Suzuki deal.
He helped me a ton. Like he did that, and then he agreed to let me live with him in Hickory for the first year in 2007. There was him, myself, another guy called Big Dave, and then Glenn's wife Crystal came too. So there was 4 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment, and it got hectic there at some stage. Glenn and I never really got. I don't think I got on his nerves. Maybe I did, but him and I were always pretty good. Dave and Glenn had some blowouts, and Dave and I had some blowouts. And then when you throw a girl in there, Crystal, she turns into the boss. So there was a few tense moments there I remember back in 2007, but for the most part it was good, and I learnt tons off GK. Probably not some of the best stuff. I know he never had an American driver's license for the 5 years he was over here or something. And he did some dodgy stuff, but that's what for the most part, Aussies do dodgy stuff all the time. It doesn't matter, it's part of us. And so I learned a little bit of that, and I think for me, having him as a mentor or whatever and being able to live with him, it was good, really. He's no good in the mud, so he didn't teach me that, but I feel like he was a dog. Like, you put him in a fight and he'll go till he can't go anymore, and I've seen that out of him at multiple 6 days, where I think one of his bikes he broke a shock or a linkage, and to finish the day he had it. I wasn't at the 6 day. This was a story. I think he rigged it up with sticks and rocks and river rock to get to the finish, and anyone else, myself included, anyone else just would have quit. Like, I would have just been like, whatever, bike's broke, you can't fix it. And 95% of the people would do the same thing, but GK finds a way to rig it up and get to the end of the day and fix it for the next day. And in 2012 he was there and sliced his knee open. Like, I don't know what he did, but looked like someone went
like
to
two
his
bone.
Yeah, with a machete or something. And he come in, and we're all sitting there, and GK comes in and he's like, I think my knee's no good, and he takes his knee brace off, and there was probably 5 or 6 of us sitting there, and I swear about 3 of us were gagging. It was that gnarly, and he just went and got it stitched up and rode. I think he rode the last 2 days and then the final motocross, and he finished. And no one else would do that. I wouldn't.
You don't see that. You wouldn't see that today.
No, I would pull out. No, I'm not. I don't think. I wouldn't call GK pussy if he pulled out when I saw his leg half falling off.
Yeah.
And it's just like I think he might have drilled some of that into me, like the first year and a half or whatever, when him and I were hanging out.
Yeah.
That to do any good at this kind of racing, you got to have no quitting you. So no, I appreciate all the help he gave me over the years, and we still talk every now and then. We saw him when we went home for Christmas, and it's good to catch up.
Everything you learned from GK and more of the stepping stone, and how he brought you here to North Carolina, housing, whatever, this, that, like, it's since the roles have kind of progressed as he retired, moved on, you moved up to the XC1 class, kind of developed your own training ground, housing, whatever. You were able to kind of lend that helping hand to other Australian riders. I remember Milner a couple years ago when he was here, and now Lyndon, where it's almost like, I can see it more with you and Lyndon, where the age gap is exactly probably what GK to you were when you were 18 or 19.
Yeah, I feel like like I said, GK did a lot for me, and I feel like on the back end of my career, I still feel like I got a few good years left in me, but I feel like I want to give something back to. Like you think about it, once I'm done racing, there's no more Australians in the city. Like XC1 or XC2, the women's class have a couple of Aussies, but like as far as established Aussies go racing over here, none of them come over, and I'm not sure why that is. I think the money's in Australia has been fairly good the last few years, and it's tough here. Like
like the competition's different.
The competition, the tracks, like the living's easy here in the US. I love it. It's probably easier to live here than in Australia, but it's just difficult. It's just hard. The races are hard. Sometimes they're not all that fun. You know that. Everyone knows that. And I just think there's not a dog like GK that wants to come over and do it. And Milner came over and he had a go. I think the biggest problem him and I probably would have had if he stayed here was that we were fighting for the same trophy or whatever you want to call it. So both being XC1, and he was already established in Australia when he came over. So it wasn't like he was an 18-year-old kid coming over trying to just get his feet wet. He came over as an established rider, and it was for him. He was used to being the number one guy in Australia. So to come here and struggle a little bit, he has diabetes, and I think that hindered his process a little over here. He struggled to adapt quickly to the races and get good results. So as far as Lyndon goes, I think he's 22, so there's a 10-year gap between him and I. And my wife and I were talking the other day, or today actually. He is closer to. There's another kid I take riding, and he's closer age to him, and he's 16 than Lyndon is to myself, and it's crazy because I don't feel like I'm that much older, but I'm 10 years older. So to be able to help him and try and get his feet wet and get him established is something I want to do. And he's over here. I was lucky enough to do my deal where I was getting paid the first year I come, so I could pay some bills and pay GK for rent and that sort of stuff, and he's over here for free. So we're trying to help out as much as we can, and it's cool because he, like, from what I've seen so far, he wants to work and wants to have a go at it. He's not just here for a holiday and just to hang out. So it's cool at the moment to see him riding, and for me it's great because if I'm not on my game during the week practicing, he's going faster than me. So for me it's helped, and I feel like you can tell from the first 3 races that it's helped having him here, and so it's good for me, it's good for him, and hopefully I can help him just be that dog, I guess, and have a go and not quit.
Is there a part of, like, I imagine, like, training and compare, like, with somebody like him who can be kind of a dog barking at you just to push, be on your rear wheel, etc., helps you training wise in comparison, especially to doing motos on your own? Has his presence, especially like you said, 10 years, that's doesn't mean you're old, but that's just a big age gap. There's a lot of, he's going to have a whole different outlook on life than you will just in a 10-year time span. So you think, does that help motivate you and push you training wise and stuff?
Yeah, I still think I got an edge on him training. So, but just on the bike, I feel like the level of racing today is still better than it was when I was in 2010 when I won. I believe I'm riding better now than I was then, but I believe I'm a little more cautious than I was then too. Better rider, but just more cautious. So where Lyndon, I think he's had more crashes since he's been here than I've had in the last 3 years. So
he's pushing the boundaries a little bit.
But it's good because I have to do that too, and I still feel like once I get out of my comfort zone, I'll probably back it down a little bit, or if I know where that section is, I'll take it easier. But having him here, for me, it's like he's always pushing. Doesn't matter if he's out of his comfort zone or in it. And for me, that's good because it'll just get me closer and closer to the edge that I want to ride on. So 100% of the track instead of 80% of the track. So no, it's fun. It really is fun having someone like that, like Lyndon, to go ride. And we got a good team too, so it makes it, everyone gets along. It's like a big family, so it just makes it, I'm really enjoying racing at the moment. Racing and just being at the track. It's cool to turn up on the weekends and have a good time and just relax.
Do you think, like, in comparison to the last couple of years, where, honestly, your results weren't as good as they have been, is that, like, definitely a mood swing upward for this year? Like, man, you're just enjoying it that much more than the last couple, just because, like, you got the family there, you got Lyndon here training, everything's full circle here, you're at a good spot in your life, and you're putting in good results.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so last year my results were okay, not great, but I still feel like I was enjoying, and I think it's just the atmosphere with Maverick and Cameron being able to come to the race. It definitely helps as well, and now with Lyndon there as well, and I get along really good with Freddie and Joey, and even Jordan and Mary, my teammate. And I think when everyone gets along and has a good time, I think it just doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're going selling cars at the dealership or whatever, if you get along with the manager and the mechanics in the workshop, you're gonna enjoy getting up and going to work. And that's what I do. I enjoy going to the races, and like I said earlier, we're not making millions. we're trying to sell motorcycles, so if I get a 5th place and come off the track and I'm an absolute asshole, no one's going to want to buy a Kawasaki. But if I come off the track, get a 5th place, and I'm happy that I put in 100% effort, and happy to the team, and if someone comes up and talks to me and says good job, sure, I may be not the happiest, but if I'm happy and have a conversation with them, then they might go out and buy a Kawasaki next week, next month, or whenever.
And you might have just made a fan a lifelong fan.
Yeah.
Like, you could completely turn a fan away or completely towards you in a moment like that, like a first impression.
Yeah, and sure, I would love to win, but I mean, I'm happy to be on the podium. It's something that I haven't done in a while, and it's fun. And like I think the first round, Stu got really close there towards the end, and if I would have ended up 4th, I would have been not upset. Yeah, maybe upset, because I felt like I deserved the podium, but I put in 100% effort, and I felt like I rode as good as I was going to ride, and if that was 4th place, then I would be happy with that. And I think the team guys knew that I put in the effort, and they're happy with that as well. So I think it's just, you got to put everything into perspective, and it's not all about winning races. I don't think it is, and I mean, you can see, for example, there's Instagram people that don't even race, and they get paid lots of money to sell motorcycles.
Does that burn you up?
No, it doesn't, because actually it probably does. Yeah, it does, but it's like they're doing a job. They're advertising. That's what we get paid to do. We're not going racing like you don't. I don't know. It's just like
it's not necessarily about let's pay Josh just to make sure he gets the championship.
This is the advertising budget. This is my opinion. I don't know if I'm correct. So we go race to advertise for our sponsors, for the brand, etc. We don't necessarily have to race. Like, you build a fan base, like you said, whether you talk to the kid after the race, you sell the bikes off of being friendly and that sort of stuff. And I feel like my perspective changed a little bit over the years. I haven't won since 2016, so maybe I have to think a little more that way and find different ways to promote the products and do that sort of stuff. But I think being friendly is a good start.
You know, with social media today, it's kind of the new thing, like you talked about, where there's riders who don't even race but promote on Instagram, whatever, and make a good chunk of money. Sometimes it's kind of like a pain in the ass, really, to watch that happen, but in the sense, that's kind of the goal for Kawasaki, Monster, whoever, is to sell bikes, sell product, and whatever advertising works. But the big key point in it all is, like you're saying, you're like the face of your business. Like, Josh Trank is a company. Josh Trank is a business. Josh Trank makes sales for bikes, whatever, because you give that kid your goggles, or you said, thanks, took a picture with him, whatever, made that impression on a small kid who then's going to want to die to go get a KX65 tomorrow and replica out, make their bike look just like yours. Like, that's the impression you leave, and that's the growth of the sport. As much as wins matter, not exactly all about wins.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, some people might say that I'm saying this just because I haven't won. And I mean, sure, there might be some truth to that, but if that's the case, then there's a hell of a lot of us riders that haven't won that need to be thinking about what they're doing, because there hasn't been many people winning in the last 7 years. So last year, the Babbitt's Online, they started the Kawasaki team. So
Yeah.
Kawasaki came back in, and I swear I would go to I would see the morning race and the afternoon race when we come up to lap the guys. I would see 2 or 3, maybe 5 Kawasaki's, and then this year I swear there's 10 times that amount.
Yeah.
At every race. So, and then that's where I'm like, man, maybe we are making a difference, and maybe people are buying Kawasaki's because we're turning up to the races, and when someone comes up to the truck, we're conversating with these people instead of looking the other way.
Yeah.
You know. So, and that's just not my doing. That's Jordan, Freddie, Joey,
Yeah.
Denny, all the guys, Doug, all the guys that go there on the weekend that take a minute out of their day to go say good day to the people who come up and want to ask what kind of tyre we got on, why is our tyres
Yeah.
black, or why our fender's green, or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
if someone wants to ask some stupid question, they're going to take a couple of minutes out of the day to answer the question for them, and
Yeah.
and I think that's where it's helping, and people are realising that you can go buy bikes and people can be friendly and that sort of stuff.
Even just from the media side to the support for riders, semis on, Pro Row, whatever, so much has changed from like 2007 to even 2017, now 2020. Like, you probably have good insight into how much change that was. Where do you think the sport will be, just the sport of off-road, 2027? Another, 2 decades past your initial start in 2007. Like, where do you think it could be then? Or do you think the next step is for our sport to grow? Like, do you have even any ideas or things on that?
I think this sport, like off-road, it can only grow so much to where, as far as riders goes, to where the places run out of room. So we see it, Steel Creek, I feel it has outgrown itself probably the last 5 years, I reckon. It's good racing, and it's awesome because there's so many spectators. I think it's the second biggest turnout as far as spectators goes. But it's just they're just out of room there, and so the track was too short for the amount of people, and I think parking and getting into that place was difficult. So it's like, if it grows, I think it can grow more, but that's the problem is going to be finding places to get everyone parked.
Yeah.
And be able to keep the tracks up to where they're rideable for everyone, not just us and that sort of stuff. And
so you even mentioned too, like crazy in a good way, track conditions, the fan base, people out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, out in the farthest mile marker, pointing lines, or just to cheer you on.
They're the ones smoking weed. we'll go past and you can smell someone smoking weed. And you're like,
they got some devil's lettuce cooking.
Those boys back there were smoking some weed.
Now,
and they're out in the furthest part, like the
purposely.
furthest part of the track. And you're like, I know why you fellas are out here.
Now, is there a particular moment that you can remember in all your years where you had probably the most hilarious or odd fan interaction?
No, I don't know, man. Some of that stuff happens and you just forget it. Like it might happen on the first lap. And I know there's been some times where there'll be people just walking down the track. They don't even think the race is going on yet, and they'll be walking down the track and you're yelling at them. But that's almost just part of it. I can't think of anything now.
Oh, how about this? Just a fan, just be hilarious or just odd in their own way? Anything?
No, we're at GNCC, man. They're all odd. The most recent one was that guy at Big Buck, man. He was hammered right below the podium. I don't even know if he knew what he was talking about. And he kept giving us high fives and all that sort of stuff. And he had a good time anyway.
Yeah.
I wanted to just pour it into his mouth, but he took it and drank it all. And I was like, oh, cool.
Go back, get the jersey, clean it off, take it home.
That was pre-COVID-19. So I didn't worry about Kleenexing it or anything.
You might want to go back and give it a shot of Lysol or something.
Yeah. I don't enjoy making fun, but I enjoy going out in the morning races and helping, for the most part, helping riders up. So I would rather help riders up a hill through a rock garden than in a mud hole, because I don't want to have to deal with washing my shoes and shit once I get back to the truck. So the morning race, I like going out to a hill climb, and if it's a section where you know they're probably going to get stuck, I'll stick around there for half a lap and help people up, and I really enjoy doing that. And I guess I get thanks. I get to have small conversations with people that are actually racing.
Just mid-race.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool, and I like doing that. It's like I get to help these guys, and maybe later in the race they'll be out on the track helping me if I got stuck or something like that. So just giving back, but I really enjoy doing that at the races.
It's like a good karma, good favor thing. It comes back in
Yeah,
return.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless it's that one guy that's stuck in the mud hole that I don't help.
Then later he sees you there.
Then it's the bad karma. But,
look up like, what are you doing? Just have to whiskey throttle it out.
Now there's a couple of those where I'm like, man, I should go help that guy, but
just act like you didn't see him.
I didn't see him. Then I see someone else going to help him, like, he's good.
You feel better. It eases your conscience that he's being helped.
Yeah, if I'm the only one out there and there's that one person stuck in the mud hole, I'll help. But if there's a group of people at a mud hole and the morning race is coming and they're getting stuck, I'll move back and let the mud fleas take care of that. But
or they just help each other. They just leave box and help the other.
But if it's a hill climb, I'll jump in, and I love helping. I really enjoy doing that actually on the weekends. It's not going to help a quad. They're too noisy. That's the only thing that I have a problem with. They're too noisy.
That you just have to wear like earpieces.
Yeah, you've got to, man.
Yeah.
And I always forget it, so I'm not helping.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
There's no fans. You're not a fan. Like it's just the noise.
Yeah. But sometimes the races are more exciting than ours, and that's what I want to see myself. Like if I go to a race, whether it's battling for a first place or a fifth, I want to battle to the finish line with someone, and because then you're like, man, that was damn fun.
Yeah.
And that's why you watch those quad guys sometimes, and they're bumping each other all the way to the checkered flag, and that, and you have to have fun doing that. There's no way you can't. So.
And there's times where even positions in front where, hey, maybe first and second are spaced out in their own way, and then third, fourth, and fifth is a three-way battle. That's more entertaining to me, just as a fan, than even, watching first place roll across the finish line sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that kind of battle is exactly what pumps the adrenaline and gets people involved.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why you go racing in the first place. None of us went racing to go make money. We all went racing to have fun, and I think the thrill of battling, whether it's your friends or your enemy, I guess. But yeah, just going racing with someone. And when you're a kid, I remember being a kid going home, I'd always ask my old man how I looked when I was racing, like if I was doing stuff good and that. And I just remember just trying to race. There was certain kids that I always wanted to beat, the fast kids that we'd go to who had all the cool shit and the fancy wheels, the cool pipes and handlebars and all that. And they were the kids I wanted to try and beat. And if you didn't beat them, but you got to battle with them, then it was a good weekend. And that's the same, man. If I
even now, now when
you're coming around,
you got that podium.
I'm old, and I feel like I just have racecraft that I feel when I follow some other guys that I just don't feel like they have, and that's why I want to get into a battle where the last mile of the race I could beat those guys because I feel like I'm craftier than those, and that's just stuff I feel like I've learnt growing up, and just sometimes how I see other people ride, and I just want to, I don't care whether it's for 5th or 6th, don't want to battle for 10th, but if I got to, man, I got to. But 5th or 6th or 1st, man, I'd love to battle. Honestly, I want to battle Kailub before he's done racing. Win or lose, I just want to battle him and just have a fucking blast, like I do. And because when you watch videos or he hasn't won 60 races because he's lucky, you know.
Yeah.
He's won them because he's good and he's crafty, and I would just like to go race him and be able to battle him at the end of a race and just race, you know, be fun. And
is that something that you like for Kailub, you know, as he comes to his retirement, that it's almost like a goal on a bucket list for yours to achieve before he's out?
No. But I just feel he is one person. I personally believe if I was in a battle with anyone else, I could beat them just out of different line choices towards the end of the race. And I feel like Kailub would be probably the only guy. He would be the hardest one, obviously, but he would be the hardest one to be able to beat based off the lines I choose. And it'd be just cool to go and do it, and just whether you were able to pass him a couple of turns from the finish or not pass him, I just feel like that'd be sick to do before he was done racing, you know. But like I said, I enjoy going racing. I want to battle someone down to the finish every race if I could. It'd be much better to win or be by yourself where you're not having to battle anyone, because then the stress of finishing down a position you don't have to worry about it. But that's what keeps me going, is going racing and being able to go battle with someone to the checkered flag. So in 2010 or 2009, I could just win. Not trying to be cocky. It was easier for me to win back then, obviously, because I haven't done it for years. But and I feel like probably Kailub is in that same kind of deal at the moment. For him, it's winning is is easier than it is for anyone else. And I couldn't tell you why, and I can't tell you why I felt like that in 2010 either. It just, at that stage in my career, it was for me to go out and win. I was not happy with anything else back then, but it was also fairly easy, where now if it came down to the last lap and I was leading or had the chance to win, there'd probably be more excitement and emotion as far as once the race was over goes. And I think I would put the effort in to try and win, but that there would be more risk at this stage, I think, to try and get a win if the cards are on the table there at the end of the race.
If you got a win now, got one 2020, battling now at this stage in your career with the mindset you have, do you think you would be more emotional and appreciate it more now, or back when you got your first XC1 win?
I won in Yadkinville in 08. I was a mess there too, emotional, little crybaby. Honestly, I'd probably be emotional if I won again this year. Just for one, it's just been so long. I think 2016 was my last win, so it's a long time ago. But you know, I mean, it means something. It does mean something to me. So I mean, getting podiums means something as well. Just still being able to race means something. But getting a win, I mean, I don't know. It's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to win.
And especially now you would get to share that win with Cam and Mav.
Yeah.
Like, that would be really, I'm sure, an even more emotional level to it, that you get to involve the both of them.
Yeah, no, it'd be mad if I won. And I mean, it's not like I'm not trying.
Yeah.
It's not like I haven't been trying. It's just difficult. It's not easy. Everyone would do it. It's the same with everything. Everyone would do it if it was easy.
I mean, the XC1 line would be 50 riders wide if it was easy.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people stay back or just don't have it.
Well, there's only 10 of us.
I mean, I mean, some of that's in part to just this year's scenario, but in the sense too, like, there's a reason why. There's a reason why y'all are the front row, the elite, and it's because you've earned it and deserved it, you know, at least the majority. But more to bring it all full circle is, like, you've talked a lot about where you are in your career, the mindset, you know, just how you perceive things now in comparison to when you were just a youngster. Like, now with having Maverick, having the family full circle, Has that been like the mindset change?
I don't know, man.
But to be able to share the memories with the two of them, you're on the podium, take photos with him, this, that. He's a part of the history of your racing.
Yeah, but racing isn't like, it's not. This isn't life and death. It's not like I love it. This is my job for one, but I also love doing it. But at the same time, it's like Cameron and Maverick and my family and Cameron's family. I don't know. It's that's more important.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I mean, racing's cool and it's cool to share the memories and all that. But in the end, it doesn't mean shit. Nothing does really. So it's
except for family.
Yeah, and I mean really, except for having a good time. So if it's someone who doesn't necessarily have a wife and kid but still has a good time, then that's what it's all about. We're not here for a long time, just a good time.
Well, that's a good one to live by, yeah.
Yeah, my career's been really good, and I enjoy it, and I'm real happy where I'm at now, racing wise goes and family wise for sure. I enjoy doing the shit that I do when I'm not racing. I like mowing the grass, and I like going on bicycle rides with people that don't even own a dirt bike, you know, and we don't have to talk about dirt bikes. And I enjoy that, and that's what I like. Like, I love going to the races on the weekend, but when we have weekends off, I love doing not motorcycle stuff. Like, I wish I had a few more hobbies, but then at the same time, these are my hobbies. Cycling's my hobby. Riding my motorcycle is just a hobby as well.
Yeah.
And so when I have a day off, I'll probably go ride something, whether it's a dirt bike or a bicycle or freaking lawnmower or whatever, you know.
The lawnmower's not as fast, but yeah.
But it's like,
just to put music in your ears and just separate yourself from, you know, the office, you know, your job, and then to just come home and just do something that involves nothing of that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everything that I've been given and I've got. I feel like I came over, spent $9,000. I think I sold my truck in Australia. I think I spent $9,500 on a visa, and I came over with it. At that stage, I didn't have a social, so I ran out of money. And I remember we got to, back then Florida, Georgia was round 1 and round 2, and we got to Georgia, and GK and I had agreed to split the motel, so he paid for one weekend, I paid for the next. And we get to Georgia, so the second round I didn't have any money because Suzuki couldn't pay me because I didn't have a social yet, and I fucking just ran out of money. And so I'm like, GK, you got to get me, man. We're second round into the series, and I'm
only 2 rounds in.
Yeah, and I'm out of money already. So like, for what I've done here, I'm proud of what I've done, and I appreciate everything I've been given, you know. So
I think that's why most fans can relate to you, just because it's the vibe you give, that you're here, you're appreciative, and you're just a normal guy. Well, for me, I'm getting a little cold. The fire's dying out. I think this is about a good place to stop. What do you think? Yeah,
we're out of, well,
we're out of extra firewood here.
Yeah.
If we start chopping down some trees or anything.
No, that was cool. Yeah. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. It's something that I think is definitely a growing process to see where it goes and, you know, smooth out the bumps in the road. But the idea behind something like this is to just not talk about how did that third place ride go the other day. You thank your sponsors, this and that, just the clerical, like, analytical BS. Like, sometimes a real conversation's the best kind. And even around a fire that blows in your face, and or on a cold day is a good time. So
that's what we need. That's what you do need.
Yeah.
A beer sponsor.
There you go.
You just have like a little cooler.
Yeah. Just grab it. Here you go. There you go. Yeah. I'll have to work on that one.
I mean, I got an energy drink sponsor for you. We can supply some energy drinks and stuff.
I mean, whatever.
But, I mean, what's that saying? A good story never started with water. I don't think that's a saying. I might have just made it up.
You might have just patented
But-
that one.
A good story always starts with beer.
But yeah, that works too. Yeah.